Hello and welcome back to the AOR F1 Championships on Xbox with F1 2016. It's Season 13 and we're north of Milan at the Church of Going Fast for the 12th round of the season. Taking you along for all the action during this Italian Grand Prix, it's myself, Justin, and alongside me, it's Ali.
Indeed, and at a track more conventionally known as the Temple of Speed, it's actually one of my personal favourites on the calendar. I think I'm in the minority of actually liking Monza, but it's a pretty good track. And obviously with the longevity of the straights, it provides some pretty good racing and a lot of slipstream as well going on. So some of the drivers potentially not looking forward to this one. AOR's very own Indy 500 slipstream fest, but you know, we'll see how it goes.
Personally, I actually do like the track, so I'm actually right there along with you. Last time out, it was the American ESR Orca who converted his first ever pole position into his first ever race victory in the AOR F1 League with the right choice of tires at the end of the race, and despite a 3-second time penalty, he was still classified over 10 seconds ahead of championship leader the Flying Finn, whose second place finish gave the Silver Arrows enough points to claim the Season 13 Constructors Championship after just 11 races, while his former teammate and real-life brother STS F1 Alonso completed the wet rostrum. Also worth mentioning, Finn has a real chance of clinching the title today. If he wins the race or finishes in second or third, then he will win the championship regardless of Martin's result. We'll ignore the other permutations for now as we turn our focus toward the side-by-side lap comparison and full qualifying report.
Alright, here we have the qualifying comparison for the Italian Grand Prix in Xbox Season 13 with STS F1 Alonso in the McLaren on the left hand side and AOR Reversal in the Red Bull on the right. Both of them flying, as you can see, full speed down into the first chicane. Alonso braking nice and late, flicking the car into the first and the second apex, briefly down to first gear and then accelerating nicely on the throttle as a Reversal only now finally gets to the first chicane and is taking it very like he usually does. So, meanwhile, Alonso flying through Curva Grande into the second chicane, and as we pause it, you can see it's very close on these two laps so far. Alonso kind of jumping over the sausage curbs a little bit, also nicely controlling the rear end there on the exit as he's now going to flick it into the first Lesmo, fourth gear, trying to not understeer too wide there, and then for a wide, precise entry into the second Lesmo as you line yourself up for the back straight, also not getting too aggressive on the curb out there as that can loosen your rear end a bit. Meanwhile, the Reversal, as you can see, is turning in way too early for the first Lesmo there. I think you might have to adjust that line as Alonso, though, flying into a scary, lovely, beautiful line through there. Gotta be careful on the throttle through here while also trying to get back on it as early and quickly as possible. And now, actually, Alonso getting some slipstream from his older teammate, his brother, the Flying Finn, which might help him on the run down into a Parabolica now. Another car getting out of the way, flicking it briefly down to fourth gear, controlling the traction once again, and then finally getting fully back on the throttle for the run to the finish line. It definitely has looked like a very fast lap for Alonso so far, and it is going to put him on pole in the McLaren with a 1:20.925. Very impressive. Alonso taking his first pole position in the league. Meanwhile, Reversal trying to challenge him for that pole position because they're flying in through Ascari. That's a major corner cut as well. That's going to give him a lot of seconds on this lovely lap that he's doing. And you can really see the Red Bull man pushing as hard as he has ever done in this league ever before. On those soft tires, of course, as well. Very impressive that he's choosing the less quick tire in this qualifying session, and that is obviously the reason why he's a little bit behind Alonso at the moment, as he absolutely nails the braking zone there for Parabolica. He barely has to lift. Beautiful speed now, trying to control the inevitable oversteer. Oh, and actually he doesn't even get any oversteer. Well, that's how good that corner was for Reversal, as he's now flying to the line at least 2 miles per hour for an incredibly impressive 2:06.2.
So taking a look at the grid for the Italian Grand Prix, and it was a first ever pole position for STS F1 Alonso, who will line up ahead of last week's winner and pole sister ESR Orca, who was less than a tenth behind. ESR Finch will line up in third, just ahead of ESR Surprise, who was 2/10 off the pole time, and ahead of the Flying Finn, who's 4/10 off his brother's pole position time. ESR LuckyDog has a very strong qualifying in 6th, ahead of Franglish in 7th, then 6 Skills and ESR Ryan are the last people to set competitive lap times, with AOR Reversal a long way off the pole time, the top 10 covered by a mere 45 seconds in that qualifying session. TRL Williams chose not to set a time, and Jason97 F1 will round out a reduced 12-man grid for this race, but the big story is that TRL Martin was unable to make the start, meaning that before the race even begins, the Flying Finn is crowned AOR Season 13 champion. But now it is time for the Italian Grand Prix.
Welcome to one of the oldest and fastest circuits to ever grace the Formula One calendar. We're at Monza, and the home of the Tifosi for the 12th round of this 15-race season. Just 3 more races to go after this one, and then we'll be looking forward toward the much-anticipated launch of F1 2017 later this month. It's blue skies at the circuit, and the forecast calls for much of the same, which is good news for the field of just 12 drivers as they go barreling into Turn 1 on the opening lap. Wouldn't you agree, Ali?
Yeah, I'm sure many of them will be very relieved to see there is no rain and they can brake at the normal point coming into Turn 1 on lap 1. Strategy-wise, we're expecting most people to be on a 2-stop. A 1-stop is possible at an absolute stretch, but if you can make it work, due to the pit lane having such a long delta time because you miss out the huge straight and there's such a big speed differential, it's probably going to be a good strategy if you can make it work, but it is very, very marginal.
Yep, we have seen some differences in qualifying. Of course, we saw Reversal way down at the back on softs. ESR Ryan as well on the softs as well. Jason and TRL Williams not setting times, so possibly all of those guys just going for a bit of an alternate strategy. And STS F1 Alonso, the former teammate of the Flying Finn, on pole position, his first ever pole position, incredibly. And with ESR Orca, hot off the heels of his first win, picking up that second position on the front row of the grid. He has got to be thrilled with that as the Renault of Jason 97 F1 makes his way to the 12th and final grid spot, on board with the man who can and actually has clinched the title, as we've got 5 lights now, engines revving, and it looked like a bit of a jump start from ESR Surprise in the Sauber, and he's actually going to lose out to the Flying Finn and ESR LuckyDog on the drag down towards the first corner. Flying Finn already up into 4th position. LuckyDog still has Surprise on his left-hand side getting braking, and it looks like Surprise is actually going to try and go around the outside of the Flying Finn. ESR Orca already losing a position down into 3rd position. The Flying Finn going to pick up that slipstream, as is ESR Surprise. AOR Reversal back up into 10th and now 9th position, actually, as he moves his way past ESR Ryan. He's going to move to the left-hand side of 6 Skills now as they head into the 2nd chicane in the slipstream of Franglish, getting late onto the brakes, but not quite as late as the Toro Rosso. And at the back, Jason 97 F1 actually on the medium compound tires has had a very leisurely getaway and is a number of seconds actually behind the rest of the field. Not sure exactly what happened with him. Maybe we'll see a replay of that. But again, Orca down into 3rd position, already lost out to Finch. Franglish nearly losing it at this exit of the 2nd Lesmo. He's going to lose a position to 6 Skills. AOR Reversal is getting boxed in down the DRS straight, heading down towards Ascari, and he couldn't make the move on Franglish, but he is definitely smelling blood in the water. It's all over the back of that Mana Marusha as they come out of the chicane and onto the very long straight, heading down towards Parabolica. ESR Finch eyeing the McLaren ahead of him. STS F1 Alonso breaks very late, misses his apex ever so slightly, but carries a good amount of speed, as does the Flying Finn as he tucks into the slipstream, and it's been a nice, clean start to this race, Ali.
It has, and the top 6 have really broken away, and this could form a pretty big slipstream chain as Finch is making a move for the lead of the race down the inside into Turn 1. He's got so much overspeed. Alonso trying to hang around the outside. Finch is much later on the brakes. Orca is so late on the brakes as well, trying to defend from the Flying Finn. He's picked up some front wing damage. That is really going to hurt his race as everybody is sliding on the exit of Turn 1. It has been a pretty clean start, and LuckyDog is trying to hang on for dear life at the back of this train. He's got to hold on, otherwise if these guys get away, I cannot see him having the pace to get back on. But ESR Finch is up into the lead of the race. That was a big slide though through the chicane. That is not going to help his tyres at all. Orca with that front wing damage, that's really, really going to hamper his race. You wouldn't think it around Monza, but in the Lesmos and Ascari and Parabolica, it can really, really cost you an awful amount of time. And now Alonso trying to go around the outside again of Finch into Ascari. This will be a bold move. He can pull this one off. Orca's trying to get involved as well. Surely these two can't go side by side into Ascari. Finch is so late on the brakes again. I think Alonso slightly backed out of that one, but it has so far remained clean at the front.
Yeah, incredible stuff there as they were heading at what looked like nearly into a side-by-side moment into Ascari. Orca now goes defensive on the Flying Finn, the man that he beat to the checkered line. To the checkered flag, excuse me, at Spa last time out. Flying Finn trying to do it around the outside of the Haas at the Parabolica as they come out to finish lap 2 and start lap number 3. It's a drag race between the Mercedes and the Haas, and it looks like Flying Finn is just narrowly ahead as STS F1 Alonso putting a bit of pressure on ESR Finch, but Finch braking late enough. And actually Orca now, instead of being on the attack on the Flying Finn, he's coming under attack from the Sauber. Oh, there's big contact between the two of them. The race winner gets spun off into the barrier, debris everywhere. ESR Ryan scything his way through the Haas and his teammate as well, who he just had a vision of, and I think those two just got stuck on each other. We'll have to see a replay of that one, and Jason97 F1's very leisurely pace actually has already paid off. He's up into the points after being way down in 12th position, so maybe this was his plan all along, but ESR Finch leading, but it doesn't look like it'll be for much longer. DRS, I'm trying to say, activated here on lap number 3. STS F1 Alonso with that flap open on his rear wing is going to pile that pressure onto the Williams heading into Ascari, but again backs out, thinks better of it, and decides to just let Finch hold on to that position for now. Reversal already up into 6th position from 10th on the grid. It's been a fantastic start for him, but definitely the top 3 starting to break away, I think, or possibly the top 4 even, starting to break away, and STS F1 Alonso following in that wake of the Williams is going to try and pick up a slipstream and some DRS here into turn 1 and possibly make the overtake. He needs a good exit out of the Parabolica. Looks like he's done so, actually, closing massively even before the rear wing opens. It looked like Finch was a bit indecisive as to which way he wanted to go to defend that position, eventually deciding on the inside line, which Alonso was perfectly happy with, as he was able to get by even before the braking zone of turn 1. And the Flying Finn, I mean, really, he doesn't even need to finish this race, Ali. He's already won it.
Yeah, it's probably nice for him to not have that pressure at this point in the season. But this is on board with Alonso off the start. Got a pretty good start, able to defend his position very easily. Into turn 1, moving to the inside, pretty standard stuff. And he doesn't really come under too much pressure into turn 1. He holds it together very nicely, considering he's never had pole position before. This is on board with Finch. 2 cars in front of him getting a little bit feisty. He's boxed in a little bit coming into turn 1. Tries to go down the inside of Orca, but that McLaren in front of him is just a little bit in the wrong position, but he manages to work that one out pretty well. It's a decent move from Finch there at the start of the race. This is what happened with Jason, who dropped back a lot at the start of the race. He's taking it very cautiously. What goes on here then? Does he end up in the gravel on the exit of turn 1? Yes. Yes, he does. Backwards as well. That is not going to help his cause whatsoever, and all the benefit of starting on those fresh tyres, having not qualified on them, has just disappeared with one spin, and they will now be on fire almost. And these 3, I did have Mike Marshmallow flashbacks when they were 3 wide almost on the straight down to Ascari, but they managed it pretty well, and that is how you do it. And then this is what it was looking like a little bit later on in the lap, and Reversal makes up 2 positions down the straight into turn 1. Very nice job from the sole Red Bull in this race. TR Martin obviously unable to make the start, but it's a pretty decent move from Reversal, pretty decent start. Despite being 45 seconds off the pace in qualifying, he seems to be right up there in the race.
Yeah, incredible stuff there from AOR Reversal to pick up 2 overtakes in as many corners. And this is the replay of what happened between Surprise and Orca, and I would love to be able to see that from Surprise's point of view. Here we'll get a third-party point of view from ESR LuckyDog just behind, and ooh, I don't know if that was wheel spin or lag or whatever it was, but that was definitely a strange one, and that's really got to hurt for both the Sauber and the Haas. The Flying Finn now looks like he's finally ready to get involved in the battle for the lead, or maybe not, actually, as he backs off. Again, our new champion, the Season 13 champion, currently running in 3rd position and in just behind ESR Finch, and really seems to be letting off. That's definitely a strange one. We'll have to see exactly what's going on with the Flying Finn as he makes his way down under the Rolex sign. ESR Finch breaking now into the 2nd chicane as STS F1 Alonso actually starting to pull away, and oh my god, the rear tires on Finch are already above 70%. Incredible stuff. On board with the McLaren through the 2nd Lesmo he goes, hitting his apex very nicely, getting a bit of oversteer at the exit. Back on board with the Flying Finn. He's got that flap open. The DRS is open. He's only 66% on his rear left, so Flying Finn clearly taking a little bit better care of his tires by comparison to ESR Finch up ahead, who you have to think is going to be coming into the pits pretty soon here. ESR LuckyDog really attacking Ascari. Back on board with the Flying Finn under the Fly Emirati sign and into Parabolica once again at the end of lap 5. And will we see the Williams of ESR Finch coming into the pits? And it looks like the McLaren's actually moving over. I think we're going to see Alonso coming into the pits. Finch as well is going to follow him in. It gets very aggressive as well. They are nose to tail coming into the pits. ESR LuckyDog, the Toro Rosso as well coming into the pits. AOR Reversal, unsurprisingly, continues on that set of soft compound tires, which are used though, but he did take very, very good care of them in qualifying. And Alonso is just going to get absolutely destroyed. 7.25 seconds pit stop for SDS F1 Alonso. He's now down in 8th position, Ali.
Bit of a disaster for Alonso there. He was held for so long. That's almost like a front wing change as Finch takes an interesting line out of the pits. And the Flying Finn has got up into the lead of the race, or the net lead of the race, in the pit stop. That is mad. That's some incredible luck, incredible stop from the Mercedes crew. The benefits of being right at the start of the pit lane. The way it works on this game is very easy if you're at the start of the pit lane to jump any cars at the end, and this is ESR Orca running around right at the back in 12th place. This is on board with AOR Reversal, who is currently in the lead of this race and with pretty decent tyre wear as well. 44% on lap 6 is not too bad. This is Jason as well, who's still a long way back, and he's going to be pitting on lap 14, so he's probably still on that 2-stop strategy. Alonso has a little bit of traffic, and LuckyDog actually jumped him in the pits as well. So he's gone from P1 to P4 in one stop, which is madness. He's now trying to work his way back through the field, and it's working pretty decently. Oh no, not quite. That's not a good line through Ascari at all, despite being purple in the middle sector. Alonso makes a big mistake. LuckyDog's teammate is in the pit, so 6 Gills has pitted from somewhere quite high up the field, and LuckyDog potentially having a look into Parabolica, quite sensibly backing out of that one, and hopefully these two can keep it clean, because I don't think Alonso needs anything else to hold him up in this race.
Yeah, it looked like the back end actually stepping out at the exit of Parabolica there as well. ESR LuckyDog already alongside the McLaren as the DRS is open now. We got a car coming out of the pits. It's actually his teammate, 6 Skills, who is going to feed out just behind these two guys. SDS F1 Alonso trying to get late onto the brakes, as late as he possibly dares, and just making a slight contact with LuckyDog. No damage to either of those cars. ESR Surprise setting the fastest lap of the race, and then Orca immediately displacing him with a 124.0. Still in last position, though, even after a bunch of the drivers heading into the pits, so you can see it's been a tough day for him, no doubt about it. ESR Finch now on board with him through the first Lesmo, and following behind the Flying Finn, the now back-to-back AOR champion, as we get into the first of the 2 DRS zones, or would this be the second? I guess the DRS for the main straight starts before the checkered line, so we'll call this the first one. He's closing significantly, but unfortunately they have gotten up to the corner now, and Ascari not really a good overtaking location anyway, so he really would have needed to be ahead, not just alongside heading into that corner. He's going to pick up an almighty slipstream on the run down towards Parabolica into the braking zone, and hard onto those brakes into the Parabolica, and it looks like Finch is going to take a slightly tighter line than the Flying Finn to keep a little bit out of that dirty air if he possibly can, and he's getting a heck of a run here even before the DRS gets activated. The Flying Finn defends the inside line, but I don't think it's going to matter really whether he defends the inside line or the outside line, as Finch is already a few car lengths ahead as they get into the braking zone for turn 1 at the start of lap 8, and it looks like Finch a little bit all over the place. I don't know if that was lag there, but here's the replay of SDS F1 Alonso's just horrible pit stop. I mean, just a nightmare scenario for him. You can really sense his pain. That's 1, 2, 3, and then sure, why not let the Toro Rosso go as well? So yeah, SDS F1 Alonso with possibly the worst pit stop that he could have possibly gotten if without replacing a wing or anything. And here's the Flying Finn on lap 9 at the start of lap 9, getting past the Williams. AOR Reversal still running around on the 10th lap, coming to the end of the 10th lap of this race, and let's see if the Red Bull is going to be coming into the pits. Certainly Reversal and Williams and Ryan and Jason are the most likely candidates for one stops. The Red Bull does indeed come into the pits. The other soft runner of Ryan continues on for another lap, but it means a 17-lap stint for the Red Bull. Oh, and the Flying Finn gets very, very wide at the exit of Parabolica. Surely that's going to lose him a position to Finch. And not only is he going to lose that position, he's going to lose a significant amount of time as well, as AOR Reversal comes out of the pits just behind LuckyDog, feeds out into 7th position, gets nicely on the brakes, finds his way through that first chicane very well indeed, and I'm sure he's going to be looking to overtake. Interesting. Reversals on another set of softs. Huh. I wonder if that was intentional or not. He is going to actually put the moves on LuckyDog pretty quickly here. Oh, his LuckyDog just clunks over those sleeping policemen at the second chicane, and that's definitely going to lose him out to Reversal, who I don't know if he meant to put on these tires, Ali. I certainly would have expected him to go the final 17 laps on a set of mediums.
Yeah, well, the one-stop window is from lap 9 onwards, really, so the fact that he pitted lap 10 would strongly indicate that he was going for the one-stop, and I was pretty surprised to see him strap on another set of soft tyres even. He's going to be going probably soft, super soft to the end of the race, but I think Ryan, who stayed out another lap to lap 11 on the soft, is definitely going to be on the one-stop. He also had medium selected on the MFD in the bottom right as well, so I wonder if we'll see the Sauber come into play later in the race. And here he is, in fact, on lap 12, coming into the pits. That is an awful long time to go on a set of soft tyres. So prop to the Sauber for pulling that one off. But now the Flying Finn is able to easily breeze past ESR Finch even. And just look at that. That is an enormous gap as Reversal sets the fastest lap of the race. He's now chasing down Alonso into turn 1. A huge amount of slipstream, a huge amount of overspeed down the inside. It's a pretty simple move. And Reversal is now up into net P3 after starting right at the bottom of the top 10, and Ryan's going to come out in P9. But remember, he is going to the end, we think, on this set of tyres. This could be a bit of a master strategy for the Sauber.
Yeah, fantastic stuff for him. We will definitely be keeping an eye on that one. Finch, who I thought maybe would be able to pull a gap after that mistake from the Flying Finn, actually just ended up getting overtaken once again. Through the second Lesma, they go into the DRS zone, and Jason97 F1, who is still on that set of mediums, and you can see they are really wearing down on the left-hand side because of corners like Parabolica, of course, and Curva Grande and all of that sort of thing, and Jason is going very slow. It sounded to me. That was very, very not healthy sounding engine. Oh gosh! And Reversal has made a huge mistake at Ascari. That's going to allow STS-F1 Alonso through, and I'm sure he'll be saying thank you very much for that one. And Reversal's got to be pretty frustrated with that mistake as he goes into Parabolica. He will pick up the DRS off the McLaren ahead as they come out of the final corner to start lap 14. And he is pretty darn close, and once again, just the power of the slipstream moving him alongside, even just as he's activating the DRS, already alongside. He's already ahead, even before they get into the braking zone for the first chicane. And you can see that gap, actually, between the top three and Reversal and Alonso has grown significantly. They're already almost out of Curva Grande, as Reversal and Alonso are just making their way into Curva Grande now. The Flying Finn has now caught up to the back of Jason97 F1, who, again, his engine was definitely sounding strange. I don't know if he was just short shifting through Ascari or if he's having some sort of technical issues, but the Flying Finn has gone and flown right up to the back of this Renault, and this is for position, of course. They're on different strategies, but this is not a blue flag situation for the Flying Finn. I imagine he is going to be very careful, and I imagine Jason97 F1 is not going to fight this all that much. ESR Finch is going to lose out a little bit through all of this, as he's going to have to follow that Renault through, 6th, 7th here. He is short shifting like crazy, is the Renault of Jason97 F1, and somehow he's actually closing in on the Flying Finn as ESR Finch goes around the to the inside. Oh, and that is why Jason is short shifting like crazy, because he has 70+%. Yeah, look at that, 74% on the front left, and he continues on for another lap. Clearly, he is going to try and one-stop this and put on a set of the softs. And unbelievably, despite all this short shifting and everything, he's nearly putting the moves here on the Flying Finn, despite being so cautious with his shifting and being so careful with his tires. He is still keeping right up with these guys, and again, you can just hear those short shifts as he comes out of that first chicane. AOR Reversal now still has the McLaren of STS-F1 Alonso in his mirrors, and now we have the two Saubers on differing strategies making a pass for one another. I assume ESR Ryan will not be putting up too much of a fight, and Surprise is actually going to go ahead and cut that chicane. And I don't think he needs to give the position back. He was ahead as they went into the braking zone for that corner, so I don't think he's being told to give the position back or anything like that. He is going to be side by side with Ryan, though, into the second chicane. He's very late onto the brakes, just about gets it all slowed down. I think that was actually Ryan being early on the brakes rather than Surprise being late on them, but with Surprise likely to do another stop, you have to say advantage Ryan as it stands right now. We're already halfway through this race, incredibly, and it looks like the battle for the lead is not over yet, Ali.
Yep, these two are absolutely glued together. Neither of them can build a gap. The slipstream is just that strong that whatever the pace difference, pretty much, either one can just stick with the other. And look at this, the Flying Finn is going to breeze past. Oh, almost almost ended in disaster, with Finch being incredibly late to make a defensive move. Thankfully, that didn't end in tears, but these two are still together. And Jason, I don't know how he's managed to make that work after the spin on lap 1, but he's done an incredible job to nurse those medium tyres that far into the race. And he's only got the same amount of stops to make as the leaders, and if he can undercut them, get a bit of clear air, he could be coming out with the Flying Finn and with ESR Finch, who we expect to be probably all of them on a set of softs at the end of the race as well. So it could yet work out for Jason. And there's Ryan, who is not making another stop in this race, and I don't think his one stop is going to work out that well, actually, if the gap to Jason is only that big. But yeah, this is Reversal and Alonso still battling. See, I think this is the best example. Reversal has a clear tyre advantage. He's on 4 or 5 lap fresher soft tyres and still cannot pull away. He's only on 35% wear, and those mediums on Alonso's car are pretty old now at this stage. They're like 10 laps or so, and Reversal still cannot pull away. That just shows how strong the slipstream is around here. Hopefully that is something that will be toned down a little for F1 2017, because it does kind of ruin the racing a little bit, I think. It makes it a little bit artificial, but still Alonso is making the best of it and attacking AOR Reversal, who squeezes him a little bit, pretty close to the wall there, but Alonso pretty easily able to get past into Ascari in the end.
Wow, incredible stuff from Alonso. Just breezed right by. We haven't seen as many overtakes, certainly, into Ascari so far in this race. Jason97 F1 is going to try and displace that Sauber ahead of him with the medium compound tires, and he is going to make the same move, actually, making the overtake into Ascari up to P7 for the Renault AOR Reversal onto the back of STS F1 Alonso, who's kind of posturing almost like he's going to go into the pits, but no, he actually feeds in behind. Or did he go into the pits? Yes, he did go into the pits. Yeah, STS F1 Alonso pits at the end of lap 17, so it'll be interesting to see what tires he's going onto. Surely the super softs or softs for him. Franglish going very wide at the exit of the Parabolica, and Jason97 F1 gains another position, already up to P6. He does have a lot of laps to do on that set of soft tires, so he's going to have to nurse them a little bit, but he's already doing well. And actually, with the car in the pits, he's now up into the top 5. Ryan, I think, actually did brake at the right time for that corner just now, and then let off the brakes, if my eyes didn't deceive me, and then ended up running into the back of Franglish and picking up some damage. ESR Finch has 72% tire life on his rear left, and it looks like he may be coming into the pits pretty soon for his second and final stop as he closes up to the back of the Mercedes as they head into Ascari once again. Nicely onto the curbing on the left-hand side, right-hand side, and again using the curbing on the left and right once again. And you can see why these two guys are battling it out for the lead of the race. The precision driving that we're seeing from ESR Finch as he slices his way through the Ascari chicane is truly fantastic. And he's in lean mix. He's got some fuel to spare, as I believe most people have fuel to spare, as he's very late onto the brakes. They're going to be side by side into the pit lane, the Flying Finn and ESR Finch, and I believe it is Finn that is going to be going into his pit box first. Yeah, there he goes. He peels off into the pits. Williams just ahead of him, actually, and let's see, it's a good stop from the Mercedes crew, not quite as good for the Williams crew, and he's going to actually lose a little bit of time as a result of that, but you got to give credit to ESR Finch for attempting that overtake into the pit lane. Very aggressive braking, and it nearly worked out for him as well. He's going to feed out into third position. Fourth is coming up on him now, though, and it is actually Jason who moves up into the top 3. The man is now in a podium position. Incredible. I mean, he was down in 12th position so far off the rest of the pack on lap 1, and he now finds himself involved in that podium battle. AOR Reversal still going around on that second set of soft tires. Looks like he is going to be fitting a set of the super softs pretty soon here, and I wonder when that's going to be happening. If he comes into the pits this lap, it would mean an 8-lap stint on the super softs, but of course his car is now much lighter with fuel than it was at the beginning of the race. Jason97 F1 taking a different line from ESR Finch, and I imagine Finch is in no mood to be battling with the Renault when his real target is actually pulling away at quite a rate of knots. The Flying Finn has built an enormous gap just in half of a lap. Finch very nicely late onto the brakes. It does make the overtake on Jason97 F1, and Jason again short shifting his way all the way through Ascari. I don't know if that's, oh, it is just trying to keep up in the slipstream. It's kind of late in the season. It's the last season with F1 2016 as well, so maybe Jason's feeling a little loose as he swerves back and forth to keep in that slipstream of the Williams. And this is definitely the biggest gap that we've seen between Finn and Finch all race long.
Yeah, it is, although he's still just about within DRS, and he's going to be looking backwards to Jason a little bit. And we have to give an awful lot of credit to Jason. He was backwards and last by 10 seconds or so behind the whole field, and has somehow managed to work himself into a battle for the lead, which is quite incredible, using all of his experience. He's been racing in this league for several seasons now, and this has been a top quality drive. To get from where he was at turn 1 to where he is now is madness. Absolutely incredible drive from Jason, as Finch picks up a track limits warning. I don't think he has a penalty. Monza's actually, quite surprisingly, is quite an easy track to avoid corner cutting penalties, so I don't think Finch has a penalty, and I think the battle for the lead is going to be decided on track, which is what we all want to see. And these top 3 are pretty spread out now, considering where they were at one point. And yeah, there we go, confirmation that Finch does not have any penalties, neither do any of the top 3, and Finch is purple by 0.8 of a second. That is how strong the slipstream and the DRS is, as Reversal pits from the lead. Oh, get it slowed down just about in time. He's going to be rapid on a set of super soft tyres at the end of this race. He's got not very far to go. He can just drive those tyres into the ground and just absolutely fly. Maybe he could be on the back of Jason, or maybe even the battle for the lead at the end of this race. And the gap for the lead, speaking of that, is coming down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he might feed out into 4th on those super softs. We'll have to keep an eye on that, as Finch and Finn have actually resumed their battle now on lap 22 as they make their way through Ascari. Finch dealing with that dirty air coming off of the Mercedes in front of him quite well, picking up the slipstream now towards the final corner that is Parabolica into the braking zone. A bit of smoke coming off the tires of the Flying Finn in front of him. The now 2-time AOR champion is looking in, I'd have to say he probably has a 50-50 chance of winning this race. Jason 97 F1 has really dropped off the back now, 3 seconds gap between the Williams and the Renault as we start lap number 23. Just 5 laps remaining, including this one. And Finch is actually looking very good on his tire life, and everybody's looking pretty good on fuel mix. I'm not seeing anybody that's low on fuel. Jason 97 F1 is 5.2 seconds ahead of STS F1 Alonso, which means that AOR Reversal must have fed out into 5th or lower after that pit stop for the super softs. I thought he might come out in 4th position. Clearly, I was wrong about that one. Through the Parabolica once again at the end of lap 25 to start the penultimate lap of this Italian Grand Prix, and the clouds are looking very dark. You can still see little spots of blue, but it is looking quite ominous, although we know the weather forecast is for nothing but clear skies, and, well, not necessarily clear skies, but certainly no precipitation is expected for this race, although it would be really interesting if we could get some rain on the last lap, where it would make no sense for the drivers to come into the pits and they all just have to kind of go around on the slicks in the wet conditions. That would be very nice to see. But the Flying Finn is still leading this race on the penultimate lap. Into the second chicane he goes, and very aggressive over that inside curb and a little bit onto the outside curb as well at the exit of the corner. And Finch is definitely seeming faster, according to my eye. He hasn't really made an attempt at an overtake yet, but that may have something to do with what lap number it is. I think Finch possibly holding back and waiting to get the job done on the final lap into turn 1, possibly at the start of lap 27, could potentially be his best bet for winning this race. But it doesn't matter for the Flying Finn. He can slam into a barrier right now and catch his car on fire, and he will still be the Season 13 Drivers' Champion. Heading into Parabolica for the second to last time now. ESR Finch taking a much nicer line, really hugging that inside line. He's going to get a hell of a slipstream here, just a couple of car lengths behind that Silver Arrows as they cross the line. Here comes the DRS. Looks like Finn is going to defend the inside line. Finch moves to the left-hand side, and he's already ahead even before they get to the braking zone. And you have to say, it's advantage Finch. The Flying Finn is going to have to make the move either into the second chicane after Curva Grande, or he's going to have to make the move into Ascari or Parabolica here. He moves to the left-hand side, actually. This would give him the inside line for the second chicane if he can keep alongside the Williams, which he has done. Can he outbrake the Williams as well? He just about does. Side-by-side contact between the two of them. Flying Finn loses the back end, and you have to say that is probably the end of his chances for winning this race as ESR Finch starts to build an enormous gap between himself and the new champion. And Jason97 F1 not quite close enough, and I assume, Ali, that is AOR Reversal in 4th. No, I was wrong, actually. Reversal's only in 5th, and he's actually coming under attack from Ryan.
It's madness. Ryan on those old mediums fighting Reversal on fresh super softs, but Finn has one last opportunity to try and steal this win. It'd be heartbreak for Finch to lose it now. He's been incredibly tactical this whole race, made this final stint work beautifully. But Finch moving to the inside into Parabolic. He's weaving all over the place. The Flying Finn has one last shot around the outside into the final corner into Parabolic. And Finch is going to have the inside. It's going to be a drag race up to the line between the Flying Finn and ESR Finch. Who's going to come out on top? It's going to be so close up to the line, and I think Finch has won it, has he? He has! ESR Finch takes his first ever AOR F1 victory. Hats off to you, man. The pressure there would have been absolutely incredible. He held his nerve that whole final stint and that final lap as well. Wow, that was something else. Take a bow.
Wow. 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 What a finish to that race. Just side by side, an absolute photo finish for the two of them, as we'll get a replay of that move that the Flying Finn attempted into the second chicane on that final lap, and there was that light contact. I really think both drivers gave each other enough room on that. To my eye, that's a racing incident. We'll actually see it from Finch's perspective as he tries to hold it around the outside. Definitely leaves him room, and then I think he was just kind of lucky that the Flying Finn, because if Finn had made it through that corner without any sort of problems, I think they still would have been side by side as they were heading into the first of the Lesmos. And yeah, I do think we possibly saw two changes of direction from Finch into Parabolica here on the final lap. And but I think that was partially because he was looking backwards. I think that was more accidental than aggressive defending, and here we can see it from his point of view. And yeah, it really looks like he picked up the win, just less than a tenth, actually 82 1,000ths of a second between the two of them. And that is exactly what that looks like when two drivers finish a race less than a tenth apart. They are side by side crossing the line, and I mean, because of how fast the Parabolica is, I mean, look at these guys. They're darn near 200 miles per hour as they cross the start-finish line. 193 miles an hour, and the Flying Finn actually thinks he's won. He's putting the finger up. He's fist pumping, or rather, his avatar seemed to think that. But ESR Ryan grabbing 5th position actually on the final lap. This was what we were missing between the two of them. Reversal tries to come back at him with the inside line heading into the second chicane, makes it work, possibly picks up a corner cut warning as a result of that second part of the chicane, but he wasn't able to pull alongside Reversal heading into the Lesmo. He does pick up the DRS though. Reversal, however, incredibly late on the brakes heading into Ascari, but then again, Ryan just comes right back at him, tries to do it around the outside, does actually get ahead, still leaves a little bit of room at the inside. I think that was because he was expecting to be side by side with the Red Bull as they came out of that corner or into that corner. But in the end, Finch picking up the win by less than a tenth of a second. No time penalties for the top 5. ESR Ryan in the end actually losing out to ESR LuckyDog because of a 3-second time penalty, and AOR Reversal as well actually losing out. So ESR LuckyDog moving into the top 5 as a result of time penalties for the Sauber and Red Bull drivers that finished behind him. And it's a shame. I was really curious to see what Reversal could have done. I think he should have done the one-stop strategy that Ryan and Jason were trying, but Orca in the end was not able to repeat his victory from Belgium last time out. Just picks up 8th position in today's race. ESR Surprise in 9th position. Franglish in the end is the final finisher, 41.6 seconds off of the lead driver. And I mean, it was certainly a quick race, Ali, but that was a hell of a finish. That's what I'm going to remember from this race, was that finish.
Yeah, definitely. That was absolutely incredible. Reminiscent of Mexico last season between Finn and Strees. That was incredibly close as well. And this one, I think, probably takes the biscuit. Less than a tenth of a second. I don't think it's very often you're going to see that. But there you go. The Flying Finn a long way ahead of Thierry Martin. I believe he is the confirmed champion after Martin couldn't make the race today. Jason in a pretty comfortable P3. Now Alonso moves ahead of Limitless. And actually, those three could be fighting it out for third in the remainder of this season. Falcon 2 points ahead of Orca, and Finch is only in 8th in the championship despite getting the win today, which I find hard to believe. and Surprise down in P9, and Reversal staying in 10th in the championship, under a little bit of threat from the man he was under threat from on the final lap today, ESR Ryan, who moves up into 11th on 19 points. I'm sure he'll be hungry for a top 10 finish come the end of the season. LuckyDog, who we didn't actually mention, got, I think it was P5, I believe, which is a solid result for him, up into P12 ahead of Danny and Stu, who didn't make the start today, and 6 kills as well, scoring some decent points, getting himself up into P15, and nobody is in a snowy situation from last season. Every single driver has a point.
Yep, no pointless drivers this season, and yeah, it's fantastic to see, and great results, as you mentioned. Toro Rosso moving up ahead of Ferrari, actually, as a result of the double points finish for them today, and just 5 points off of Force India, so that battle still could be going on. Renault is 23 points off of Red Bull, so they could potentially, with 3 races still to go, they still could displace Red Bull to grab second position in the championship. So from the high speeds and lack of corners of Monza, we now go to Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix and 13th round of this 13th season. It is double unlucky. Oh man, I'm looking forward to that one, and hopefully, Ali, we'll be seeing a little bit more rain.
Yeah, it threw up a pretty good show in Spa, although if it's anything like today, I don't think I'll mind if it stays dry, to be honest. But obviously, Suzuka, it's been on the calendar a very long time, and it's a couple of drivers are a little bit more favourable to that track than this one, that's for sure. So hopefully they'll throw up as good a show there as it is here.
Yep, it is a favorite amongst the drivers and the spectators and also the commentators, so we'll be looking forward to that one. So for Ali and Fisi and Chris, and for myself, Justin, thank you everybody for watching. We will see you next time for round 13 from Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix. Goodbye.